and welcome back to the Young's People podcast, where we give you the inside scoop in the goings-on and passions and projects that we have across Young's. Now, we're talking about something really, really interesting today, and something that's hot news for all of us, both personally and in the pubs. So we're going to be talking about sustainability, and I'm here joined by...
Aimee McDonald, Sustainability Manager.
Jack Stones, GM at the Spring Grove.
Jamie Bucklaw, the head chef of the Boathouse in Putney.
Oscar Martin on the graduate scheme.
What a roundup.
Yeah.
What a roundup. We've got the best people here today, guys. Obviously, you've all brought it. You've got your drinks, your snacks. Did you just come for the drinks and snacks?
Exactly, yeah.
Brilliant. Aimee, I guess over to you to kind of introduce maybe your topic and kind of what that looks like in Young's.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess sort of sustainability is really about building resilience in the business. Because looking holistically at the business, but there's a lot of that's changing environmentally, and that does impact us. So it's about how do we adapt to that change and how do we build that resilience by looking at those key factors in the business that really do impact what's going on around us.
Fab. And I guess we launched the Green Pub Guide this year, is that right?
We did. So the Green Pub Guide focuses on our 4 key sustainability pillars, which is energy, water, waste and recycling, and supply chain. And it's really a sort of go-to guide for the pubs to show them how they can reduce in all of those areas and how they can build efficiency within their pubs.
Amazing. So it just gives us that direction that we can make that bigger impact, I guess, focusing on those 4 areas.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. So I guess maybe this is a good time to introduce some of our people. Now, Jack, you're here because, yes, you're General Manager of the Spring Grove.
I am.
But also you are the Young's Award winner 2025 for sustainability. Is that right?
We were extremely sustainable last year. And we are this year. It doesn't stop.
Have you given it all up since April?
Stop. No,
since we gave you the award?
I've got some new things to add to the pile since you last saw me.
Have you?
We're doing some new things as well.
Well, there you go. You might be up the runner for next year as well.
We'll see.
Amazing. So I guess, how have you kind of implemented sustainability or what are the kind of key things that you've done on site?
So we were part of a scheme that Aimee helped us introduce, actually, where we tracked all our food waste. We weighed plate waste, prep waste, and other waste as well, and sort of identified areas where we could reduce it. One of the most obvious ones was we host a lot of wakes and weddings, and customers were regularly over ordering, and all this food would just go into the bin. And it hurts watching that much food get wasted, but also, it costs the business because we have to pay to have it collected. And my team are all gannets; they all eat anything. And so they would all just be like, "Oh, it's naughty to steal whole trays of sandwiches." Exactly. But once we started weighing it, we were like, "Guys, there's nothing wrong with this food." So that was like an easy win right there, because everyone's quite happy to take it home. But then also, we've sort of changed the way we sell the events to people. Instead of sort of upselling, you're downselling, which creates trust with customers, because you're like, honestly, guys, you don't need that much food.
Oh wow!
And you don't, you're not encouraging waste for waste's sake. And then those people sort of realise once the food comes out that you advise them properly, and they book again. So
that's really nice.
There's
and I've not
benefits
actually
to it like that as well.
Yeah, for sure, and builds that trust in those parties that they come for, a 30th birthday, and then they come for their kid's 10th birthday, and before you've got 10 bookings.
They know they can trust us to advise them properly on how to host an event with us, and it probably helps the brand as well, because they'll book with our colleagues in the other pubs in Kingston and further afield.
100%, because we know customers now are so much more interested in businesses they buy from, whether that be going out for food and drink or buying online, retail. They care about where it's come from and what that kind of business is doing from a sustainability perspective. So actually you saying that on the ground as a local pub, I think is so powerful. Amazing. And I guess over to you, Jamie, in terms of from a chef perspective, what does that look like? What does sustainability look like for you in a kitchen?
For me, it's sort of looking at, first off, is kind of planning your menu properly. Is you think about what you're going to put on your menu, but then any decent chef will know if they prep a certain piece of produce, there's going to be some sort of trim, some sort of waste somewhere that they can use for something. And it's all about taking advantage of that. It's, especially when it comes to more expensive produce, it's when you're talking about even things like our beef and whatnot, it's always going up in price. As an example, actually, one of the things I've done is for Sunday roast, the whole rump that we get in, there's always a few parts of the meat underneath where you can actually just trim it away, because I use a slicing machine, so obviously it's a spinning disc whenever I slice the meat, and there's this tiny little bit of beef at the bottom, which is perpendicular to the way you slice it.
Okay.
And this little bit just always flies off with a spinning disc. Or when you stack it and you put it in the fridge, and then you take off these bits to warm them up, and sometimes it just tears away, so it ends up just being wasted anyway.
Yes.
So all I've done is trim that off while it's still raw, and then I've just confit that down in its own fat, basically, from the meat itself, and then you've got some confit beef for free, basically. That would have otherwise gone in the bin.
Yeah.
It's things like this, especially when it's expensive produce.
Yeah,
It's thinking like things like this is just for me personally, it's to boost my GP. That's kind of what
Of course, and that's going to be what most head chefs and chef people are bothered about, right?
That's exactly, like, most chefs, honestly, aren't too interested in their food waste and things like that. They it's sort of a, not pulling teeth, but it's because they're so busy. We're very busy people, always on the go, and it's when you say to a chef, you need to have this bit of extra work, and it's very much like a rolling eyes moment. It's like, but I've got so much to do.
Of course,
why are you telling me to do more?
Yeah.
But
I think that's what Aimee and I have been really trying to work on, especially, is that creating that synergy between what we need to do in terms of legislation. Obviously the new, with the new laws with the bins and stuff coming up, making sure we're separating that. But like you said, it's about not coming in and telling you guys how to run a pub. It's kind of weaving those easy wins into your kind of daily operations and bits like that.
Yeah. I think that's definitely the way to motivate a head chef, is by finding ways that will help his GP for seemingly free.
That's
so like we
the biggest one,
have a huge grapevine out the back, and we harvest the grapes in late August. And last year we made a chutney that went on all of our camembert dishes for free, so helps his GP. This year he's creating a jus with some fat that he's taking off of, that I think would have been wasted before, but don't hold me to that. But I'm pretty sure this fat would have been wasted, and he's boiling that down with the grapes to create a jus that's going on the dish as well. So just helping GP is just such a motivator. And then you're just sort of being sustainable as an aside.
And I remember that initiative where I remember seeing the pictures, because actually the front of house team got involved, and they were all pulling the grapes down. And it actually, it's from a sustainability perspective, but also from that team building, and everybody seemed to have fun doing it, and everybody feels good doing good for the planet.
And customers love the fact that they saw the grapes grow throughout the summer, and then they're on their plate in September.
Such a nice story, and it brings people together. Sorry, Aimee.
No, I was just going to say, and on that as well, I saw the great work you were doing with the peelings and turning them into crisps, and then just putting them on the bars as well.
So the peelings, last year we were turning them into crisps. This year we've got a scheme with the local alternative education school, who have goats, and the peelings are now getting fed to goats. I'm afraid instead of customers.
Hey, they're enjoying them just as much, I imagine. Fab.
We would actually feed the goats more stuff, but head chef Abdu had goats as a kid, and he's like, no, goats can't eat that. But the school are like, feed them anything, we don't care. But chef's like, no. I know what goats eat.
Oh my goodness,
Otherwise we could reduce our food waste even more.
Oh my God, amazing. But it's just those little things that actually, once you start looking for them, like, you did with the meat, you see more opportunity. It's just having, 5 minutes going, right, how can we go about what we're already doing that we could do better, rather than bringing in all these big new, changes of behaviour. It's those little things, isn't it? And I know that you've been doing a lot on those behavioural changes, and yourself, Oscar, in terms of trying to inspire teams to look at it that way.
And I think when you start including more people in the discussion, you get those more successful results. I know, like, when you guys were talking about getting more of the staff involved, I think that encourages them as well to kind of find the easy wins themselves and kind of go out of their way. And I think speaking to people, it's not just kind of general managers and head chefs that are leading the charge with it. It is kind of your deputy managers as well, your new people that are starting, that you do end up seeing that they've got a genuine passion for kind of sustainability. And it's just great to see when you get more people involved in the conversation.
The whole thing with the local school is down to the staff, because a lot of them work there part-time. So I wouldn't have guessed that there were goats two roads away. Exactly. I know that because of the team. So absolutely, you've got to involve everyone in the conversation.
And I know we couldn't get anyone here from Smith, sadly, today, but I know you've been working closely with them, haven't you, Oscar, because they're a big pub.
Exactly.
For those that don't know, we're talking 4 floors, all very different food offer, drink offer, etc. Use a lot of electricity. But yeah, you've been working with them and they've done a great job, haven't they?
Yeah, I think the way that they've kind of tackled it is they've really tried to break it down, you know, because like you were saying, they've got four floors, all of them do completely varied menus and offerings and, you know, a different atmosphere. And, you know, speaking to Maria, you know, she really wanted to kind of tackle front of house first. You know, she really wanted to get her staff involved. And I think her deputy manager was really kind of instrumental in leading the charge with it and not being afraid to kind of take photos and show it to the chef going, guys, what's going on with all the blue roll and bits like that. And then she kind of tackled the first floor. So yeah, I think like it goes back to that thing, you know, about the small changes. And it was just, yeah, really breaking it down instead of seeing sustainability as this kind of massive social justice piece that, you know, we're all doomed and, you know, there's nothing we can do. And let's just break it down into more manageable aspects.
Yeah, and you mentioned bins there as one of those. I guess, are there any other kind of quick wins that from any of you really that you think in terms of getting your team inspired or getting them behind it? What would you advise?
My side, it's always about getting people involved in a way that you don't sort of. I wouldn't come to my sous chef and say, "Here's the menu. This is what we're going to make." It's always I call it ping pong because it's like we just bounce ideas all the time,
nice.
And it just kind of ends up going. You know, it works, but that's the way I get my chefs involved by saying what do you think about this? How do you think this dish can be changed? Do you want a dish on the menu? Like, and sort of get them involved so that they take pride in it.
Sure.
It's not just I'm giving you this work to do the work because I'm paying you to do it. It's, you know, yeah, I'm paying you to do this work, but it's work that you've also helped.
Evolve and
exactly,
they're on that journey with you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's much more like a coming together. And we're kind of like it. Everyone's taking pride in it because everyone's had a part in the offering. You know,
nice. Yeah, and there's actually, you know, there's prizes to be won, right? You know, I know that we do a lot of initiatives, don't we, Aimee, that you've been working on. Do you want to tell?
Yeah. So Sewers is our waste partner and we've been working with them for countless years now, and they've sort of really started to work with us on how we can build awareness on recycling and food waste and various other waste streams. And last year we did the Wasteless Pub initiative with them where they supported us to donate £33,000 towards the pubs who were performing best in their recycling, and that was before it came into legislation. But as part of that, we also included these sort of quarterly league table games where people could win extra points by doing initiatives like reusing and distributing their coffee grounds, because it's an unavoidable waste and it's a really heavy waste, so it's going to cost you a lot to collect it. Putting bird boxes, insect hotels in their gardens, organising local litter picks, which is really good for the community, but doing these different initiatives, and actually some of them have taken off really well and the pubs have continued to do them. And this year we have got the big green idea. Let me remember what it's called. The big green idea. I should
we've
know
just
that.
got it nailed.
I should know that.
There's been lots of ideas around the name, so we've finally,
and we know, so we know pubs love to get involved with their local communities. So the idea is that each area comes up with a big green idea, something that's a social impact community project. They put their proposals forward in a bit of a Dragon's Den style initiative. We pick our 3 winners. Each winner will get £5,000 towards that initiative or the charity that they're putting it towards. And we're hoping that there will be some aspect of recycling, reusing, upcycling within that. So we're really excited to see what comes out of that, because I think it's something the pubs are going to really take on board and really run with.
Fantastic. And actually, you know, we've got, I think we're near to 8,000 employees now at Young's, because we've grown and grown. And actually, there's so many great ideas from those that are, you know, living and breathing and in the pubs, that are delivering, that have all got, you know, interests in very different things, but that can bring their own ideas to it. And I think that's a really nice piece of, you know, we're open to any ideas. And I know that we've got our STB course, so our self-development program, which is all focused on sustainability this year. Is that right? So I think they've been tasked to come up with a sustainability themed project. Do you know any more?
So I have spoken to a few pubs about this within the SDP group. So they're all focusing on different things. But I know that some of them are looking particular at waste because some of the challenges that they face around waste, especially in the smaller kitchens, is where they have to segregate general waste and food waste. So they've come up with a dual bin now. So it's easy if you've got a plate and you've got your napkins on it and your food on it. Napkins go in one, food goes in the other. So it's just trying to find those really efficient, easy wins that the pubs can adapt, which will actually help support them on that food waste journey. And what we're trying to do is really provide the pubs with more information. So you guys will see that you've got the Ignite system now, so you can see exactly hour by hour, day by day, month by month, how much energy you're using and where those hotspots are. So you can look at where to mitigate that. And then with food waste as well, I mean, you hit the nail on the head where you said, chefs aren't going to really care about their food waste until you put a cost to it. So that's really what we've started to do. We've started to look at those monthly costs, how much of the food is going in the bin. Because if you don't know, why would you start looking at that? But as soon as you can see what percentage of food sales are going in the bin, all of a sudden you're going to be like, right, is this a challenge for us? Do we need to start looking at it? And exactly what Jack did, let's segregate it. Let's look at our spoilage. Let's look at our plate waste. Let's look at our prep. Where is that coming from? Because as soon as you can identify the issue, you can start working on the solution.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest actually areas I find every pub I've worked in Young's has always been Sunday roasts. So people, it's of course it's supposed to be a very family hearty meal, as it should be, but a lot of chefs tend to put way too much on the plate, and I've seen it. Every pub I've worked in Young's is when plates are coming back, and I see there's still a substantial amount of food on the plate, and I'm sort of panicking, going, "Is something wrong with it? What's going on?" But then everyone says, "No, they're happy. It's just they're just
loads.
I think
just loads of it.
I think the way to because you've got to straddle the line of keeping customers happy and not getting complaints that the portions are too small as well.
Exactly,
and what we've
Fine
tried
line.
to do is just make it very clear. I mean, I'm blessed with a real community pub where I almost know every face that walks in, but we've tried to create a culture of, if you want more food, you can have it pretty much for free. Like, do you want another Yorkie?
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Do you want a couple more roast potatoes? Of course. But
Nice.
when it comes out, it's a sensible portion. And if you're feeling greedy, we can make it bigger.
Yeah, which actually plays back into that glorious hospitality that we
exactly.
talk about a lot at Young's, isn't it? And it's that fine line of still making the environment comfortable for our customers, still having the fire on if it's winter and it's cold, because actually that's part of our Pearl standards and what makes a Young's pub so special.
And I think a pub's supposed to be a place where you feel genuinely comfortable.
Yes.
Like a restaurant's a slightly more formal environment. A pub, you should be able to sit down in your seat, and if you know more roast potatoes can come at the push of a button.
Unbutton your jeans already.
Yeah, exactly. But then your 85-year-old gran on the other side of the table who doesn't have much of an appetite, she's not had her plate loaded really high and creating loads of plate waste. So.
And also feeling guilty that she's not finished it
Exactly,
all.
yeah.
Because that old school mentality is, I've got to finish everything on my plate.
Yeah.
And I know when I've been up, you can't leave anything. But actually, being comfortable enough to be like, actually, I'll have a smaller portion and I'll ask for more if I want it, rather than just thinking, I've got to eat it and feel uncomfortable if I don't finish what's on there.
Yeah. And also, kind of moving away from the food side and thinking from that, environment, because we've kind of touched on it. I know, Aimee, you were saying that this changes so much seasonally in those kind of environmental factors that we can alter. So obviously, in the winter, we want to make sure that our windows are closed. It sounds obvious, but, the ones that have got cracks in, or we have some older pubs, don't we, that have got drafts, getting those fixed, that we are doing the obvious things, although they might not be obvious if you've been in the pub a long time, so that you are using less heat and
Absolutely. And I think the challenge is not one year is like another. So we're a nation that very much used to thrive on seasonality. All those seasons are interchanging now. So like last year we had this really mild, really wet year. We had 9 named storms last year.
I remember it's a washout.
It was. We had pubs that flooded. It was a challenge. But then you go to this year and we've had huge heat waves. We've had water droughts, so water hosepipe bans in several of our regions, and it's about how do we adapt to that and mitigate those risks along the way. But it's also looking at where are the opportunities as well as the risks. So yes, we've had a heat wave, which means we have used more energy, but sales have gone up 3.6%. So it's looking at the positive and negatives, but actually thinking about how do we control that. So in the pubs, thinking, if I've got my aircon on, I don't need my windows and doors open.
Sure.
If it's a bright sunny day, I don't need my garden lights on. And it's just sort of thinking that and have it in at the forefront of your mind. And then the same with water as well. If there's leaks, Are we getting them fixed? Have we identified those leaks? Are the taps being left running? You know, is there an issue with the toilet? And again, just making sure that there being any challenges or issues are being rectified to really stop those additional costs that are creeping into the business.
Yeah, of course, because that's the other side of it as well, right?
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
We've mentioned it with GP, but actually from a P&L perspective, they're the things that Energy and Waste and Ignite will help with that in terms of really highlighting those hot spots of oh, actually we are turning this on rather early in the kitchen. Do we need that equipment on that time? No, we don't. Let's put it back half an hour. And those minutes add up, right?
Yeah. And actually, Jamie, you touched on that earlier with the fire up times in the kitchens and how it can vary with different people. But
interesting.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to hear what you were saying about that.
Yeah, it's because I mean, myself personally, I come in at like 8:15 in the morning, and I know what I need to do, and I turn on what I need to turn on to get my prep jobs done.
Sure.
And then of course, you know, when it's sort of 11:30, 11:45, that's when everything else goes on. So everything's ready for service at a good time. But I do know some chefs who will come in at, you know, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, and they'll just go, okay, right, I've got to get everything on. And then every single, you know,
Panic,
gas is on, you know, electric's all on, and everything's hot. And they've got 3 pots of water boiling for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Because they might need to prep something. And it's a waste, and you don't need to do that. But yeah, it's just about understanding that you have the time in the day to do these things, and you know, it's well, yeah, that's pretty much it. It's
but I think
you just need to just calm down a little bit and understand that it's not a massive pressure to get everything turned on straight away. You can,
it's a safety blanket for some chefs, because I know whenever I have to cover in the kitchen, which occasionally I do, I turn on everything because I'm scared.
I think every chef has been there at some point where it's like 12:15 and there's like fish and chips on. Oh, it's not on. Fire's on. Like,
But actually, I think from what you said there, Jamie, actually the solution to that is just education and spending a little bit of time, either yourself or GM or a supervisor that's passionate and in the know, whoever that may be. I know we have sustainability champions across the business, but just spending that time and educating and saying that instead of doing this, let's try it this way, and when maybe we do one step at a time, we turn on 90% to make them feel comfortable and confident, and you know, we kind of whittle it down so that they, you know, it's then their idea by the end of it.
Yeah, it has to be their idea. So
yeah, for sure.
I think to help with that, Oscar, do you want to talk a little bit about the fire up times that you were working on with Zero Carbon Forum?
Yeah, so I mean, they came down to the King's Arms, and we were kind of filming some fun little videos with Matteo about just kind of looking at what equipment needs to be turned on when. You know, we were also having some conversations with the Pubs with Rooms meeting, just about how it can be a little bit more difficult for them as well. I think you know, obviously pubs that are serving breakfasts need to be a little bit more flexible. But yeah, you know, like Jamie was saying, I think it's just taking the time a little bit and realizing it doesn't all need to go on. But then it goes back to that piece, you know, we like you said, like kind of 8,000 employees, and it's everybody's got their own way of working, so how do you kind of tap into that, getting that unity between everyone.
Yeah, I think that's where the Green Pub Guide can really help support the businesses, because in there we've got like the fire up template. So Oscar, I know you were speaking to the exec chefs to go through all the kitchen equipment and go, realistically, when does this need to come on? Now, of course, it's going to vary pub per pub because not everyone has the same bit of kit, but it's just making the chefs conscious, going, actually, if we start putting this information in and we put this back of house in the kitchen, then every chef comes in and everyone knows what time those bits of kit to go on. And that will also relate to when we need to be serving those customers and what needs to be on in time. So it's about those sort of useful hints and tips, those checklists, all of that sort of guided information to help support the teams, but also getting feedback from the teams as well and saying, actually, I've done it this way and we've saved loads of money on our energy. Great, let's implement that across the business and get that rolled out. And it's really about those learnings, because there's so many pubs doing so many great things, and it's just trying to get all of that information and then spread that best practice.
Absolutely, spread the love, because I think it's like you say, what matters to one person isn't necessarily going to matter to the next. And we're all, we all probably personally feel differently about sustainability, probably all on a scale of, how much we care about it, and how much we actively try and support and help the environment. But actually, as a business, it's part of, I guess we talk about JDIs, don't we, a little bit? It's a just do it. We know that it's going to make impact positive for the environment. We've got that responsibility as a business to do our bit. And actually, we all feel good when we do it. So there's an element, I think, of just those behaviours that are easy and simple to do.
Yeah.
Of maybe just doing it. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I guess from a pub's perspective, I don't want to see half my sales being wasted on electricity, gas and water and recycling. I want my sales to be my sales. So trying to mitigate those utility costs is going to look better for my P&L and my bottom line. And we're trying to get the information sent to you as easily as possible, and to implement that as easy and efficiently as possible as well. So it's not a headache for you, but it's just a part of, this is just how we do business and this is how it's going to impact. I mean, like I said, Jack, you've done some incredible things, and I think people watching this will really want to take some of that away and go, actually, these are some really quick, easy wins that I can implement. I mean, looking at food waste, for example, the average last month was 3.6% food waste. Yours was only 1.68. So you can see massively how those changes.
Those goats are hungry. Okay, now everybody's going to be putting requests in. I need to find my neighbourhood farm animals.
There's got to be an app somewhere for my nearest goat.
If not, there's an idea. Yeah, let's get that set up.
On the topic of reducing your energy costs as well, like the food waste thing was a fairly easy win because of goats, but before that because we were, as you mentioned, we were reusing it into bar snacks, so the peelings got washed and fried and salted. But the energy thing is just like a constant battle. You sort of feel like Dad running around the house shouting about lights being left on at some point. But I think we're getting to the point now where all of my management team just have a culture of making sure things are off. Like the biggest pet peeve of mine is the past lights being left on after dishes have been taken. And I think I've now gotten to the point where I've nagged enough that everyone knows to just turn it off immediately.
You were last at the past.
This is it. So it just becomes just this sort of learned behaviour that then the team, through just sort of osmosis of someone joining us and being there for long enough, just learn to turn things off. So it's probably the toughest one, because you're asking for a culture change,
and it's only going to get more. It's only going to get more expensive, isn't it?
Exactly.
You were talking, Aimee, at the start about resilience, and that's what we're doing. Is obviously now, I mean, gas, electric, and water is through the roof, and it's only going to get more expensive. So it is building that culture, as you said, so that when 3-5 years time, when everything's double, you're still already protected.
Well, I think part of the success I've had is making sure my management team see the P&L and see how big the utilities bit is, and then turn around and be like, this is why I tell you to turn off lights.
Nice.
So just making a little bit like you were saying with making people, bringing them on board and making sure they feel like it's their idea. It's just sharing all information with people. Like if I'm bringing you on to help me run this business, then you deserve to know where the business is making money and where it's losing it. So.
Yeah. And I know, Aimee, we've, over the past few months or year or so, we've started to build those resources in terms of posters or information that we can give to you guys to kind of, fuel you with the power you need to then share that. But I know that you're always open ears. So if there's ever an idea or something that's missing or something, this would be really great to have this information in this way, because I'll be able to use it X, Y, Z. I know that you're always open ears for that, aren't you? Any idea?
Absolutely. And that's what we've tried to develop through the Zero Carbon Forum, which really focuses on behavioural change and looking at areas where the pubs with rooms can save, which is those overnight savings and kitchen prep. And then last year we saved 141,000 just from behavioural change, which is, incredible. I think it was the George Hotel that got the biggest savings, £10,000 savings just on electricity.
That's massive.
Which is huge if you think about, all your costs as a business. So it's really trying to find out and then learn from them. How did you do it? Share your best practice. Let us know. Let's spread the love. But yeah, I mean, they're huge. We spent 17 million on utilities last year. It's a huge, huge cost. So any way we can help to mitigate those costs is really worthwhile.
The stickers we got from Centrally last year were really useful. They're all around the building now, and that's an easy win. Just having a sticker reminding you to turn off the light.
Visual aid, and then you've got you. I can hear hear you coming down the thing. That's lights, and I'm thinking, oh no,
Jack's
the
coming.
house, he's coming.
Threatening to feed people to goats.
Well, you do what you got to do. But I guess, it's that repetition, isn't it? And sometimes
That's it.
that is the best way of doing it, of just drilling it, having it on shift briefings every day, those focuses, and then until it becomes learned behaviour. It's what we all do, isn't it? Okay, excellent. I wonder then, if we kind of wrap up, and I was wondering if we could go around the room and kind of ask for maybe a nugget of advice, maybe from your perspective, that you could pass on to either fellow GMs or team members or chefs, of those kind of easy wins or a top tip about sustainability. Pressure's on.
I was going to say, he's going first.
Who wants to go first?
I've got one.
Go on, go for
but
it.
it might be a bit out there.
Ooh,
But it is easy.
I like it.
So we forage all our wild garlic every spring, and it's everywhere. You just go get it. Yeah.
In London, you're in Kingston.
Yeah, there's some on Surbiton Hill. I actually go further afield.
Don't tell everyone.
Yeah, I
All
was
the
gonna say,
rushing to Surbiton
I go
Hill.
to the Surrey Hills, but it's
Yeah.
everywhere, and it's so expensive.
Oh wow!
So just go get your own.
Oh yeah, it is.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Love that.
I went once, and it did us all spring.
Wow.
No way.
Wow.
And how did you got it back? Just cleaned it, then
Just washed it, and
put it in all your
was-
dishes. So very
Yeah,
garlicky
Well,
menu
it was
at the,
it was in
spring.
it was in a pesto and it was in a mayo, so it lasted.
Oh, fantastic!
There you go.
Amazing.
There's my tip.
Wow, you've set
Good
the bar
one.
pretty high now.
I know.
Sorry.
Pressure's
Yeah.
on.
I was
Oscar,
going
you've
to
got
say,
about 30 seconds before we
turn
get
off the
to you.
lights. So, yeah.
Jamie, over to you. From the kitchen, what can those chefs do?
Oh goodness me. I guess it's I don't know, we kind of touched on things that I do myself, like you said with the peelings. Like I like doing that thing where you get carrots every single week. Just make crisps with it. £2-3 on a parsnip for a little cupful. It's an easy win.
Yeah,
But
I've heard
like,
of pickled peelings as well.
Yeah,
That's
they're
also
nice.
quite good. The
Oh,
Lasso
they are
Richmond,
nice, yeah.
shout out to Chris who does those, and I took a jar home.
Did
He let
you?
me take
Did
a
you?
jar.
Were they
yeah.
good?
I said, can I really like those? And he was like, do you want some? I said, yeah, can I
A
take
jar.
the jar? He said,
suppose
yeah,
it's,
of course, took it home.
One of the things, touching on that then, is if you have veg peelings of some sort, think about, like you said, like pickling is a great idea for one, just preserving it, but also it's a nice acidic flavour that you can put on. It's so versatile. You can put it on
Nice.
loads of dishes.
Yeah.
So think about what veg or fruits that you have that is you peel or you have some sort of trim when you prep it, cut it, and pickle it.
Yeah.
Make some sort of preservative, or make a you can even make a malt pickle for a sandwich from from bits of trim. Like you can. It's things like this. It's just like you said, it's just doing it really.
Yeah, spending a bit of time and putting some thought into it. Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah, and you realise that when you realise that this is so cost effective, and you can it turns your 75% dish into an 80% dish. We all wish, but like.
Amazing.
That's an expensive bit of veg. But it's these little bits that it can give you that that cushion in a way.
Yeah.
Because you know that this little bit of prep has cost you barely anything, and just your time.
Yeah.
In a way. So that it's like I said, it's just a cushion to help your GP along.
Yeah, perfect. Love that. Thank you. Oscar, your 30 seconds is up if you come up with anything.
Yeah. I think it's to really engage with the reports that we get as well. I think that's a great little tip. Obviously we've got the save while you sleep, but then also ignite energy as well.
Great.
And just kind of keeping your eye on things. I think there are so many great tools on Ignite with the information we get from them in the reporting. So I would say just really engage with the stuff that you're getting, but then also question it as well. Do you know what I mean? I think having that pushback is always good, and having that conversation, like you were saying, the ping pong. Do you know what I mean? That you naturally get when speaking to people in pubs. So yeah.
Nice. Like it. Strong one. And Aimee, last but not least.
You can tell
Don't take
Oscar's been with sustainability for a while, so I was like, I've drilled it into him.
Exactly.
So again, engage with those reports, engage with the information that's already out there, but feedback, let us know what works, what doesn't work, because we're always there to help support and adapt, but we need to hear back from the teams, from the business, to understand what's working and what isn't. And I say, more importantly, share. One thing I always drill down to the teams is, like, in your area meetings, like, don't feel embarrassed or that you can't shout about something you're doing really well about, because what might be really simplistic to you might be a huge thing to another GM or another chef, that they can go, fantastic, I can bring this on board. So the more we share, the better we can do, and whether that is with other teams, with other pubs, or just sharing with some of us within Copper House as well, because we want to share that best practice across the business.
Absolutely. Great one to end on. Amazing. Well, thank you all so much.
Thank you so much,
It was great to chat. And a huge shout out as well to all the pubs that are all doing their bit. We know that there's some great sustainability champions out there, deputy managers, assistants, people at Copper House, all doing their bit. And it is true, together we achieve more, isn't it? So, but thanks so much. Until next time, toodaloo.